Imagine a time when the US government, during the height of the Cold War, explored the possibility of using psychic abilities as a tool for national security. Through the Stargate Project, researchers and psychics worked together to see if the mind could perceive distant places and events through a process called remote viewing. While their findings were controversial and the results debated, the government's investment in parapsychology opened new doors to understanding human consciousness and left a lasting impact on the study of the mind's untapped potential. Parapsychology, the study of psychic phenomena like telepathy, clairvoyance, and psychokinesis, has intrigued people for centuries. Interestingly, the US government, driven largely by Cold War concerns, explored this field for over 2 decades. Although the results were often inconclusive, the story of government-sponsored parapsychological research is a fascinating one, filled with key players, scientific experimentation, and enduring curiosity about the potential of the human mind. This article takes a positive look at how the US government engaged with parapsychology, why it did so, and the key individuals who contributed to this unique chapter in history. It's important to remember that while the scientific community often debated the merits of this research, the intention behind it was always to explore the unknown in a careful, thoughtful way. While the US government formally engaged with parapsychology during the Cold War, the roots of interest in psychic phenomena go back further. In the early 20th century, scientists and researchers began studying paranormal activities in a more systematic way. This was a time when academic institutions, specifically Duke University under J.B. Rhine, began taking psychic phenomena seriously. Rhine, known as the father of modern parapsychology, developed experiments to test extrasensory perception, or ESP, and psychokinesis, contributing to the scientific foundation of the field. However, government involvement in parapsychology remained minimal until the 1960s, when geopolitical concerns began to influence decision-making. The most famous government program in parapsychology was the Stargate Project, which began in the early 1970s. This program focused on remote viewing, a practice where individuals claimed to perceive information about distant or unseen targets, often miles or even continents away. The idea of gathering intelligence through remote perception was appealing in an era of increasing global tension and covert operations. The project began at Stanford Research Institute, or SRI, in California, led by physicists Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ. Both men had strong scientific credentials, which lent credibility to early efforts. Their experiments aimed to see whether remote viewers could accurately describe geographical locations or objects they had never physically seen. One of the most famous participants in the Stargate Project was Ingo Swann, who is often credited with developing the first protocols for remote viewing. Swann, a well-known psychic, participated in numerous experiments and demonstrated his ability to describe distant targets, including planets and hidden military installations. His contributions were significant, and his protocols are still referenced in remote viewing communities today. Another key figure in the Stargate Project was Joseph McMoneagle, a U.S. Army intelligence officer who also became one of the program's most successful remote viewers. And I'm sorry if I botched your last name. Deeply sorry. McMoneagle claimed to have participated in hundreds of remote viewing sessions and even wrote books about his experiences. Remarkably, he continues to discuss and teach remote viewing to this day. He remains an active advocate for the potential of psychic abilities in everyday life. The U.S. military and intelligence community were particularly interested in whether remote viewing could be used for practical purposes. Several experiments and operations were conducted to test whether remote viewers could locate missing people, identify hidden military bases, or foresee future events. For example, remote viewers were reportedly involved in attempts to locate hostages during international crises or find Soviet military installations. While the accuracy of these efforts was often difficult to verify, there were cases where remote viewers seemed to provide valuable information. One example often cited is the remote viewing session where a participant successfully described a top-secret Soviet submarine. While skeptics argued that the information was vague or could be obtained through other means, supporters saw it as evidence that remote viewing had real-world implications. By the early 1990s, the Stargate Project had become a well-known, albeit controversial, part of U.S. intelligence efforts. However, growing skepticism within the scientific community and the government led to a comprehensive review of the program's results. In 1995, the CIA commissioned a report to assess the effectiveness of remote viewing in gathering actionable intelligence. The report concluded that while some remote viewers had shown occasional success, the results were inconsistent and not reliable enough for intelligence purposes. The US government decided to terminate the Stargate project, concluding that psychic phenomena did not provide a clear advantage to the highly competitive field of intelligence gathering. Before I get into the last segment, if you have these abilities or have done research in this area of parapsychology, please reach out to me because I'd love to hear about your experiences. And if you have any corrections or additions to this research, please put them in the comment box below. I am so interested in hearing about all of your opinions and thoughts on the matter, and especially if you've done research in the area. I am very open to critiques and learning more. Despite the program's termination, the legacy of the US government's involvement in parapsychology continues to capture the public's imagination. While the scientific community has largely moved on from government-sponsored psychic research, many individuals believe in the potential of parapsychology. For example, Russell Targ, one of the founders of the Stargate Project, continues to speak positively about remote viewing. Now in his late 80s, Targ advocates for the peaceful applications of psychic abilities, such as using remote viewing for personal growth and consciousness exploration. Joseph McMoneagle, as mentioned earlier, remains active in the remote viewing community. He offers workshops and teaches people how to tap into their psychic potential. His optimism about the potential of psychic phenomena continues to inspire those interested in the field. While government funding may no longer be available, many private researchers and enthusiasts are still exploring the potential of psychic abilities. Their work is a testament to humanity's enduring curiosity about the powers of the mind. The US government's involvement in parapsychology represents a unique chapter in history. Driven by Cold War fears, the government invested time and resources into exploring the unknown possibilities of the human mind. While the results may not have met the rigorous demands of intelligence agencies, the research conducted during the Stargate project has had a lasting impact on how we think about psychic phenomena. Moreover, the individuals who contributed to these programs, like Ingo Swann, Joseph McMoneagle, and Russell Targ, help push the boundaries of what we know about consciousness and perception. Their work continues to inspire those who believe that human minds hold untapped potential. As we move further into the 21st century, perhaps the greatest legacy of the government's involvement in parapsychology is the idea that we should never stop asking questions about the unknown. Even if we don't always find the answers we expect, the search itself can lead to incredible discoveries. If you've generously taken time out of your day to watch this video, thank you. Because this channel is new and you have yet to learn about me as an individual, I feel it important to note that I work for the federal government, so please know I am not a conspiracy theorist, nor does this channel represent my work in that sector. My life's purpose, however, is to focus on parapsychology for the rest of my life with the goal of bringing together 4 groups of people on a global front, on one or more global platforms: government entities, researchers, those who have gifts in parapsychology, which, believe it or not, is mankind as a whole, and the general population. It's time to end any form of separation or segregation worldwide. It's time to release the fear of the unknown. It's time to evolve the collective consciousness, and it's time to stand as one voice. As mentioned in my other videos, please understand this channel is a safe space for curious minds to discuss the taboo nature of parapsychology in an open-minded manner. So if you're interested in sharing your work in a quote-unquote past life professionally, your psychic abilities, or pertinent research, feel free to reach out to me on WhatsApp. And if you want to watch more videos about parapsychology, be sure to click the links on the screen.